So, Bayar, could you explain the legal system in Mongolia?
So Mongolia operates under civil law system, which is rooted in continental tradition. And of course it was heavily influenced by ancient Mongolian customary rules, including Ixtasag of Great Mongol Empire and Qing dynasty codes and socialist laws between 1924 and 1990 and post-1992 democratic reforms. And unlike the common law countries, judicial precedents do not bind the courts. Courts apply statutory norms rather than making it through case laws.
What is the biggest misconception about how WTO decisions are actually made?
So WTO is actually just a way of negotiation. It's a platform for negotiation for member countries. So Mongolia joined WTO 1991, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and then the Mongolia started involved in negotiations since then, and of course it was helpful to Mongolia to have this national treatment and most national treatment from WTO members, and to liberalize its trade to other countries, the exporting countries. Of course, the whole negotiation is led by major countries, including the big industrialized advanced countries. Even though Mongolia, as a small country, voiced out to give more treatment to developing countries, for the benefit of the mutual development for the benefit of the whole world.
In your opinion, does international law actually level the playing field for landlocked nations?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, but in WTO we have special forum of landlocked countries. So landlocked countries unite together to voice out their preference, their interests, and it was actually productive and successfully had a lot of treatments approved at WTO, including this trade facilitating agreement, I guess. And it was a product of this joint initiative of these landlocked countries. So yeah, of course, the landlocked countries or developing countries alone, it's very difficult to succeed with the big countries. But if they comes together and voice out together, then they will reach the successful result in even international arena.
I understand that you worked on mineral trade deals. How are they actually negotiated?
So any deal, either mineral or just trade, general trade, it is a result of the certain for the time being and also legal environment in the course of time. And the Mongolia had a first democratic constitution in 1992, and it was followed by approval of the first minerals law in 1994, and the second one was approved in 1997. And such minerals law was developed with the support of World Bank, and it was considered as a liberal law and liberalized this mining legal environment in Mongolia completely. And with that, Mongolia reached, as Mongolian government has issued, the many licenses to explore, to mine the different minerals in all over territory of Mongolia. And of course, as a result, economically we succeeded, and a lot of foreign investors came in Mongolia to explore and to mine and to get the benefit from mineral sector. However, once like economic mining sector was liberalized, there was also like because of the foreign and internal factors, it was reversed by another law in 2006. The current minerals law was approved in 2006. So, and then this liberal policy of the government has changed. With that law, Mongolian government introduced the concept of mining project with strategic importance, which codified that if that mine has a potential to produce amount equal to 5% of GDP, should be considered strategic mining project, mine deposit, and then state should have its share in that license owner, which is like not less than 34%. And eventually also Mongolia approved the law on windfall profits tax of 68%. All with these legal restrictions, the foreign investment really bursted after 2006. And of course that all mining companies are lowered their production. Foreign investors left Mongolia looking for the other opportunities all over the world, because Mongolia is not the only country where the mining is developed. And then eventually, because of this less investment in the mining sector, finally Mongolia understood they have to attract more foreign investors. So amongst them, one of the biggest projects the government started in 2009 was Oyu. And they started deal with Rio Tinto, Anglo-Australian, one of the biggest mining companies in the world. And why the government preferred Rio Tinto? Mongolia is a landlocked country, sandwiched between two big powers, China and Russia. Of course, we have a very friendly cooperation with both of our neighbors in terms of economics and social humanitarian cooperation. But we need to open our market to third neighbors. We have a third neighbor policy in our foreign concept policy and also legal environment. And that's why the government prefers to have deal with the big mining companies from the third neighbors. And then deal was successfully executed in 2009, and then Oyu started its mining project. And now Oyu contributes to Mongolian development, both in terms of economics and also it's like social, social and like infrastructure development.
And with the rise of critical mineral protectionism in the West, is the global cooperation that you proposed in your dissertation still possible?
So my dissertation, it's always almost like 7 years already lapsed since my dissertation, of course, but it's the main concept, the value is still there. And it worth to note that, of course, the developing countries, as a mining newly emerging mining countries, they should receive benefits not less than what big mining companies receive from the benefit or from our mineral resource. Because by it's it's a globally recognized that mineral resource under subsoil of such country should be owned by the people of the country, which is internationally it is called sovereignty over natural resource. This is confirmed. We all accept that. But how we should legalize country by country? This is the issue. Of course, we need investment and we need know-how, technology, human resource to dig out mineral resource from the subsoil. So it's like Mongolia or other developing countries alone, we can't do that. So we need investment and know-how from other countries, from the big firms in the world, right? But our deal should be fair. The people should receive at least like majority of the benefits from the mining project. As that, of course, that foreign investors should get their portion, but the deal should be equal. But how we should handle this? But the government should introduce like sustainable, fair policy and legal environment, right? But unfortunately, during last 5 years, the government of Mongolia preferred to have a more protectionist policy, and because of that, of course, the investors are choosing other countries rather than Mongolia. So keeping balance is essential in the mining sector.
Why would you say politicians are moving towards the protectionist angle?
Before going into that topic, I think let me share some numbers. Mongolia, the numbers never lies. 90% of Mongolian export goes for mining products, and 30% of GDP comes from mining revenue, and 30% of tax revenue comes from mining projects, and 70% of foreign investment comes into mining sector. So the mining itself is a backbone of the economy of Mongolia, fueling the growth, export and revenue. But at the same time, it exposes to foreign and internal, like these risks, certain risks, and that clashes with between this Mongolian interest and interest of others. It's very interesting to note that our two big neighbors like Russia and China, they're both in the top 5 minor countries. In brief, they are competitors for Mongolia. They also want to export their minor products to the world. So it's logical, right? Because the Russian government, Chinese government there prefers to undertake their policies to protect their interests first over Mongolian interests, of course. In that sense, we have to have like a balanced policy and approach to this mining sector.
If you could erase one legal habit from Mongolia's judiciary today, what would it be?
Yeah, I think, let me explain from this angle, like what foreign investors do not feel good about judiciary of Mongolia. As we know that the common law system is very predictable because the case laws bind the court. Okay, the similar cases are overridden by the previous precedent, judicial precedents. But in Mongolia, the court applies statutory laws, and this exact same cases can be decided differently, which means that one case can be decided by 10 different judges in 10 different ways. That's what, the foreign investors feeling not comfortable with that. And which means it doesn't give predictability to investors. And also it takes a too lengthy process, 2-3 years, So it gives uncertainty to foreign investors. And also, for example, Mongolia is now developing countries. We are having a different techniques, borrowing different techniques in the legal arena. Just let me highlight one example, which is FIDIC contract. FIDIC contract is based on a common law structure and common law principle, but we are borrowing that and we are applying in our industry, right? Especially infrastructure projects like this new airport project, the water project. They applied FIDIC contract, but and also now the government and state-owned enterprises are starting to use this FIDIC contract. But unfortunately, they are not applying it correctly. They are changing, diverting the major clauses of FIDIC contract in compliance with the domestic laws. Then the whole structure of FIDIC contract is disrupted because of these mistakes. And then eventually in the court also it is applied differently, interpreted differently, and then afterwards there was an importance of FIDIC contract is totally collapsed. So we have to correct it. We have to, once we're using this new concepts and new know-how, new technology, and new whatever know-how, we have to apply as per its own philosophy and structure. So that's that I would say that is one of the misconception about these new phenomena.
You spent years engineering the legal framework for the $350 million water compact. Did that actually save Ulaanbaatar?
That's a great question. Yeah, I spent a couple of years at that project, and it is United States government funded project, $350 million US worth. And the project the project will increase the supply, the bulk water supply of Ulaanbaatar by 80% at least. And if you go back to the history of this project, at the beginning of the project there was such a study that the potable water of Ulaanbaatar city will be exhausted by 2030. So it was a really emergency in Ulaanbaatar, especially it is the capital city where our half of the population lives.
Wow.
So we have to take care of the water. Without water, people cannot sustain, right? And then American taxpayers, thankful to American taxpayers, we had this opportunity to have this project, and now the project is going very well. And I heard it's 95% of the work is complete as of today.
Excellent.
And Ulaanbaatar will have no risk of water supply, and it is going well. And of course that the water doesn't bring only water, it brings institutional and legal reforms in this sector. Especially this institutional capacity is very important. How to keep these advanced water purification plants in the long term, how they should keep balance of cost to supplying water to consumers and the revenues from that water supply, right? They have to be kept balanced to sustain the whole system in the long run. And in that sense, of course, we made a lot of things to improve our legal environment. And yeah, they are all combined, and then the whole backbone of the system, I mean, the project makes sense in this regard.
And what would you say the hardest lesson was for you moving away from writing about international law to enforcing FIDIC construction contracts in Ulaanbaatar?
FIDIC contracts, right?
FIDIC
Yeah,
contracts.
as I mentioned earlier, that FIDIC contract is very helpful, especially in terms of this risk allocation between contractor and employer. And also eventually there are a lot of different clauses to avoid from future disputes and misunderstanding between parties. So in that sense, it is brilliant instructions to all parties involved in that project. It is not like this contract which is like only in favor of the employer or project financer rather than the contractor. So it is the good way to balance the risks. Previously, of course, that once the government is going in to deal with contractors, the government, of course, to put the clauses in favor of their interests. And then contractors' interests and rights are really undermined by this government the government preference. And then the FIDIC contract allows all parties to have equal and beneficial opportunities during the whole project lifespan.
What is the biggest issue facing the mining sector in Mongolia?
Yeah, I would share that the current tension between the investors and the government. So Mongolia has had the latest amendments to the constitution in 2019, and in Article 6.2, the amendments were aimed. The amendments was to increase the benefits the people receiving from the mining projects up to 50 plus 1, not less than 50 plus 1. So it is followed by different legal reforms, and then a lot of amendments were made to minerals law and others law. So let me highlight just a couple of amendments made into minerals law. And government wants to have at least 34% in mining projects with strategic importance. And at the same time, they wanted to cap the foreign investors' share in that company at maximum 34%. So that means if any investors is interested in Mongolian mining project and comes into Mongolia to invest, their share will be capped by 34%. So in that legal environment, no foreign investor will come to Mongolia, for sure. And also at the same time, there is a clause that the government will appoint their authorized representative in that company who's refusing to give government share. So this is totally against this democratic, liberal, market-oriented economy. So because of these legal reform, investors prefers to not come in to Mongolia. So we have to fix these laws immediately in order to attract more investors.
And when do you see that changing? Is it in the next year or two, or sort of is it long?
Yeah,
long
as a scholar and who's working in this field, I'm trying to share my options to correct these problems. So I'm also looking for some scholars from different countries. So my plan is to start the project to educate people and to bring more innovative policy and reforms in the government to balance the benefits between the people and the investors. So what we have in our legal environment currently is not adequate. So we have to start. My plan, I mean, actually, it's to start such kind of projects to deliver options, right?
Would it be persuading the public or the government?
Yeah, both. People. Of course, the people. The whole problem is, I think, to my understanding, is the people are less informed about the mining project. That's why they're feeling contented with the mining projects and all etc. So the government should introduce the different policies and legal environment to allow people get more benefits. So in that sense, at least there's the sovereignty fund is very essential. But so far we have National Wealth Fund on board, but that is not meeting the international standards. So we have to also revise that fund to bringing that fund to meet international standards. With that, the people will be able to get more benefits in reality.
What would you say are the broader issues facing Mongolia?
Yes, currently Mongolia faces a significant shortage of power and energy. We import 97% of petroleum from Russia only. So this gives a huge volatility and risks to development of Mongolia. And also at the same time, we are in a huge shortage of electricity, and we are only able to supply 80% of our local demand, and still we import 20% of electricity from Russia and China. So all this energy security poses a great challenge to Mongolia. To overcome this challenge, we have to shift to alternatives to these resources. Of course, we have to develop our own power stations, and also this clean energy and green development. We have to shift to technology-based next phase of this power and energy supply. Yes.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Suggest to younger people, advise to younger people to be innovative, be curious, and try to do as much as you can to make this world a better place, and not just chasing after money, but also you should take care of others, and then you will get more in return. So that's my philosophy I always pursue in my life.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
If any of your audience wants to work together, I will welcome, and we can do something to uplift this the people's understanding about the mining projects, not only in Mongolia but also in other countries who operating the different mining projects. We can start the whole the project to bring all developments not only to investors but also to the people of the country.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.